How you guys doing? This is Two Wheels Passion. Today I want to do a quick review of a 2006 Suzuki SV, and this is the S model. Um, the bike is in great shape for 11 years. I'm the third owner and it has about 9,000 miles on it. I just want to show you guys quickly how the bike looks and what do I think about this specific bike for starters. I myself only been riding for about a month now. This is my first street bike. Before I had quads and mopeds and dirt bikes and whatnot, but nothing that would go out on the street legally on two wheels. So I'll give you my thoughts about how good this bike is for a new rider, and I'll just show you how it looks. And personally, I think the bike is plenty of power for any rider, just to get that out of the way. Not only if you're learning. It's really quick from, like 0 to 100, it gets no problem. Anything above that it struggles, but has plenty of torque. This is a very torquey motorcycle. It is a V-twin. Sounds very mean. It depends how tall are you. I'm almost 6 feet tall, so I'm able to flat foot the bike on both sides. But if you're, I want to say 5.5 or lower, you might have trouble flat footing this bike on both sides. You would have to maybe go out and look at one on Craigslist or something and sit on it, see how it feels if it's not too big for you. But for the most part, the bike should fit most people, I would say. It has only about I want to say a little over 70 horsepower. It's a great starter bike. Like I said, it's might be even too much for some people. Personally, I can handle the power, but it is a 650, and although the top speed is not the greatest on those, but it is very torquey. It gets up to 80 or 100 miles an hour very, very quickly. So if you feel like you're not responsible enough, or maybe you're just learning like where the clutch is and how to shift gears, I would say this bike is definitely not for you. But if you do have some kind of experience riding and you know where everything is and you feel comfortable going out with this bike on the street, I would say go ahead and maybe look for one on Craigslist or eBay or whatnot. Maybe your local shop is selling one. Just give it a try. Sit on it, take it for a spin, and just enjoy it. It is a very, very good bike to start on. Like I said, I'm a new rider myself. I won't get too much into details as I'm still learning myself. I just want to give out my opinion on this bike for all new riders like myself. And this bike is almost completely stock. I mean, I haven't done too much to it. All I did was install the gear indicator, as you guys can see in the corner over here. This bike does not come with a gear indicator stock from the factory, so if it doesn't have one, then if you want one, you gotta put it in yourself. They're fairly cheap. I found this specific brand, it's called The Gear, for around $50, maybe a little more than that, on Amazon. It is waterproof and it comes with 1-year warranty, and this specific one is plug and play. So in order to connect it, you'd have to pop the rear seat off, and there's a connector that just plugs right into that indicator, and then you just drag the cable from the back of the motorcycle underneath the tank, and you could see the wires over here to the front of the bike. That's one of the things I've done to the bike. The other thing that I've done to the bike is on this side, which is the pipe. This specific bike came with a stock exhaust, and for some of you that know how this bike looks stock, this exhaust that was up here previously is huge. It's probably like 4 feet long and weighs, I want to say, around 20 pounds. And from the pipe, you can see I have a connection to this pipe. So from this pipe, it's all the way up here, probably like to where the spoiler is. That's how big the stock exhaust is. So in order to change that, you'd have to cut this off with a jack saw or whatever you want to use, and basically mount this exhaust on this little piece you're gonna have over here when you cut the stock exhaust off. But if anybody needs help, I'll get into that later. I would say an exhaust on this bike is a must. If your bike that you buy comes with a stock exhaust, it's okay to start on, but I want to say it's too quiet. Like a lot of people will say, loud pipes save lives. I kind of believe in that. And if your bike, if you're getting this specific bike, does not have an aftermarket exhaust, I would recommend one of the very first things you're gonna do is change that out, change that exhaust out, so people can hear you. A lot of times people can't see you, but if they hear you, they'll look twice, and that's very important when going out on the street. Wearing proper gear is another one. Don't be a squid. Don't ride without gear or helmet. It's a big no-no. I've seen some nasty crashes. I have I want to say a neighbor that lives not far from me, and I know this guy. He's a little bit older than me. He had an R1, and he was playing around in front of his house, wheeling and showing off for his younger brother. He had no gear on. Guess what? He crashed. I saw it. I was a witness actually, and he crashed into a parked car head on. His bike stayed underneath the car. He flew off and hit a light pole and broke his shoulder really bad. He underwent, I want to say, 5 or 6 surgeries now, and it's just not worth it. And it's been a few weeks now after the crash, and he's still recovering from it, from the accident. He can't move his shoulder. He actually developed some kind of infection because in the area that he broke his shoulder, he had a surgery on. He had a tattoo. So the doctor said most likely that's how he got a blood infection. So guys, it's not worth it. Please wear your gear, your helmet, gloves. Don't wear shorts, especially if you're learning. You don't know what you're doing. Guys, it's your life. You do what you want. Getting back on the topic, previously the owner, I guess he did a fender delete, so he made everything look flush. I'm actually going to show you how it looks when the keys turned, but all that fender that was here is deleted. The turn signals are actually over here, those little dots. They're LED. I'm not a big fan of them because when it's really nice and sunny out like it is today, people behind you can't see those dots. They're really hidden underneath this piece of plastic pointing towards the bottom, and they're not the brightest because it is an older bike, so who knows how long those lights are. And I'm not a big fan of them. I might replace them in the future. I'm not worried about it too much for now. Hand signals, hand turns, just pointing, to the direction you're gonna turn, warn the drivers behind you is just fine, especially if somebody's tailgating you. But just to show you what I mean is I'll turn the key and put my hazards on, and see, like, if you're in a bigger car, larger truck, most likely this is what you're gonna see. This is what you're gonna look at the bike, and you can't really see that I'm turning or doing anything else than going straight. But if you look, a little bit to the bottom. You could see those tiny lights. I'm in the garage just because it's like 100 degrees out today, so it's too hot being outside. Plus, it's a little better for me to do it inside. I think voice quality will be slightly better inside. So that's what it is. I mean, if you guys are gonna get similar models, they might look different. They might have better turn signals or worse, or you tell me in the comments below. But I'm not a big fan of those. Those two are very annoying turn signals. They're not the best. For the stoplights, they actually look really nice for the age they're at. They look okay. They're pretty bright. When you press on the brake, they get even brighter. So that's good. That's nice. So the S model for this motorcycle stands for the Fairings. So this bike is not naked. That's the regular 650. This one is the S, which means has all the fairings all the way around. In my opinion, I was specifically looking for this one because I like the look of it better. I think it suits me better because that's what I prefer. So that's what I was looking for, and that's what I found. Other than that, the bike has like a scratch here and like 2 nicks over here, but that's not a big deal. I'm probably gonna do a touch up. On a full tank, I do about 250 miles with this bike. And this is mixed riding. What I mean by that is just be gentle on the throttle or go all or open the throttle all the way at times, or just cruise highway speeds for a few miles, or play around a little bit on it. That's how I get 250 miles. Probably if you're going to drive slow and take your time learning, if you're just like first time ever on a bike, you're probably going to do more than that. But I mean, it's still pretty good for 11 years old. 250 miles on a tank, and in my state, it's like a little bit under 250 a gallon. So about $10 worth of gas from the fuel light to all the way to the top. So it's not bad on the gas. Insurance wise, this is my first bike, and I do have a clean driving record, no tickets. I pay under $300 a year for this bike, but keep in mind this is not a full-on sports bike. If you try to get like an R6 as your first bike or whatever, something that's a crotch rocket, you're most likely gonna look at maybe even triple the price a year. So you guys wanna check it out with your local insurance before making a purchase. I would suggest, but it's really up to you guys. What else can I go over? The suspension on this bike. The front suspension is not the greatest. That's the first thing I've noticed, even as a new rider, having no experience with previous motorcycles on 2 wheels, such as this one. First thing I've noticed, it's crappy. Maybe a lot of people wouldn't notice it at first, especially if not having other motorcycles comparison. But the first thing on this bike is when you get on it and you start getting used to that front brake, and you could just feel the front just go all the way down, and it's really mushy. It's not the best. The Suzuki definitely cheaped out on this back when they were making this model. I was reading online that you could actually upgrade from other Suzuki models, such as the Gixxers, or that all the parts are compatible. You guys would have to do a little research on that, but I know it does fit if some of you would like to get this bike and do a few upgrades. But the very first thing I've noticed was the suspension. Is when you use the front brake, It's very uncomfortable, I would say. Even for a new rider, you could definitely feel the front not being the best. So it's like I said, it's a great learning bike. This is not a track bike by any means. This is not gonna be a perfect bike because it is 11 years old. It is used. I am the third owner, but I would say uh, it's good for what it is. Good for new riders, but it's not a track bike. If you're an experienced rider, you might want to look at a different bike. Just because of the suspension. Not everybody might like it. Not everybody might get used to it. Maybe you're more experienced, and this bike is just not good enough for you. It's really all about personal preference and where your skill level is. But the, guys, if you're gonna test drive this bike, if you're gonna buy used or whatever, you'll know what I mean. This is one of the downs on this bike. Other than that, I really have no other complaints. Just the turn signals on the back and the suspension in the front would be my two complaints on this specific bike. Other than that, it's very torquey, it's very fast. This exhaust is actually extremely loud. It's so loud. It sounds like almost exactly the same as when I chopped off the pipe over here and I turned it on just to see how loud it is. There was not much difference when I put this exhaust on. In fact, it might be a little deeper and meaner, but it's not quieter by any means. It does pop when you shift down. When you downshift, it pops and crackles, and it sounds like absolute beast. It sounds like it's straight piped. That's basically what it is. Has had a baffle in, but I removed that, and I'm perfectly fine with the bike the way it is, unless I get a ticket or a warning or a noise violation or anything like that. Then I'll put the baffle back in. Other than that, I'm just keeping it like this just so other drivers can hear me. If they can't see me, they will look twice when they hear me. Hopefully. It's probably not the best bike to be riding with two people in the back. Just because it's good enough for one person. Let me put it this way. It's good enough for one person. But like, for example, when I had this plate pointing a little bit more downwards, and I hit a bump under my weight, the back came off far enough so the plate hit the tire. I could actually see the mark over here, and it bent it all the way up. And so this is the rear suspension is good for one driver, but not for two people, not for the passenger. I would say it's not suitable for that. I've seen some people even do the back seat delete. Just take that off and pop just like a plastic cover on. Looks good too. Brakes on this bike are okay. I can't say anything wrong with them. It's good for what it is. Has more than enough stopping power for this bike. Especially like I said, if you're gonna buy this bike, most likely you're gonna be learning, and it's good for what it is. If you want to spend more money, you're probably gonna get better. This bike is fairly cheap, and what I mean about cheap is you could find a bike like this anywhere from I would say $2,000 all the way up to maybe $3 or $3.5. But chances are, even if it is $3.5, you're probably gonna make a deal with the seller and get it for less than that. But they range from about $2,000 to about $3,500. Most of them are fairly good condition, at least cosmetic, from what I've seen, even locally. But if you guys look for one, I would definitely look for the lowest mileage possible, as a lot of people still keep those bikes. They are the first owners or second owners, and they've only ridden these bikes a few times, and you know, most likely they're most of them are probably no more than 10,000 miles, or maybe even less than that. You can really get a good deal on one of those, and just, you know, just use it. It still has plenty of miles to go. For this specific one, I paid $2,300. It might Some of you guys might not believe that I paid that little for this bike, but the seller actually wanted a little more than that. But we made a deal, and because I had to drive an hour and a half out of state to get this bike, and so the seller was very understanding, and he went down on the price. And I test drove it when I got to him, and I knew that bike is gonna be mine. It's for $2,000 or a little bit more than that. Look how good this bike is looking. It's really nice, really shiny. Only has scratches on the other side, just tiny bits. It's a really good looking bike for the money. If you're learning or experienced rider, I would say this bike is definitely gonna do the job. Especially if you just want to ride. If you don't care, if you don't have to have a $5, $6, or $8,000 motorcycle, or you know, like an R1, or who knows what do you want to start on. If you don't have to have it, this is a great starter bike for the price. Has plenty of power, has a very, very nice V-twin sound with the exhaust, not the stock, but you can make it sound real nice for cheap. And it's an overall very, very good bike if you just want to go out and have fun and ride, and you know, maybe tag along with your friends or meet new people. It's a great bike. You can't really go wrong with it. As far as maintenance, I don't know yet how the maintenance will be on this bike. I've only had it about a month, so I just want to give a quick review and don't get too much into details, as I don't really know how the maintenance goes and whatnot. And tires, I'm not too sure how much these are, but mine are fairly good, so I don't worry about that just yet. But if anybody has questions or comments, concerns, just feel free to comment below, and I'll try to answer the best I can. And that's basically it. I hope you guys have a good day, and if you like what I've done, if you like the bike, you like the video, questions, comments, concerns, let me know. Please like, comment, subscribe, and see you next time.